Welcome everyone to another edition of Revenue Roundtable. Now, we started this as a new series to address pricing in turbulent times, basically a set of short question and answer series. We're collecting these questions from people around the world, from pricing practitioners, everyone involved in B2B commercial excellence space, that are especially relevant to the conditions that we're facing today. My name is Mitch Lee. I'm the Prophet at Vendavo, and with me are Ben Blaney and Robert Irwin. Ben leads our business consulting group in North America, and Robert leads our business consulting group in EMEA. Today, Ben and Robert are going to help us walk through a few questions that are focused on the aftermarket and services businesses and how those areas are getting a lot of attention in today's global environment. First, a bit of framework. That's to help us organize our thinking and our actions that we're going to take for this crisis. To keep it simple, we're using a model with three phases. The first phase is disruption. That's what we're going through now. It's those actions that we're having to make a decision on a daily basis, hourly basis sometimes, and we're just having to figure out what we're going to do. Pretty soon, and maybe we're starting to feel some of that now, that rate of change will slow. The rate of disruptions is going to become more the routine. You're getting used to what you did yesterday and doing that again today. And that's what folks are calling the new normal. Now, after some time has gone by, the new normal starts to turn into, if you take the proper perspective, the transformation phase. And this is probably the most critical. You want to be looking at what you've done in the new normal. And some of those things are great. Some of those things you want to do because those are appropriate. Some of those things you will need to tune to be better because you kind of patch them together. Some of those things you're going to say, those are not the way we want to get that thing done. And so you want to transform. And that's the real challenge, the real opportunity that comes out of a crisis like this. And so with that framework in mind, let's turn to the questions now with Ben and Robert. And we're going to start off with Ben, you first. Give us some perspectives on, say, three major verticals in terms of what's going on right now with this crisis and things that those verticals could think of.
Sure thing, Mitch. Well, I think in the process industry, the focus is on asset utilization, that organizations are looking to understand where their assets are productive and not, and how that reflects market demand. So an exaggeration, an acceleration of the common considerations in process industry. But now in these heightened times, those sensations are even more kind of distinct and important. I would say in distribution is now tremendously focused on inventory. What you have in stock matters to your customer minute by minute. You know, translate that into our personal lives with what's in stock at the grocery store. Distributors are living that today. And so distributors need to understand what they have in stock relative to competitors and maximize on those. We talked last time about being careful and not being opportunistic and gouging and doing anything illegal, irresponsible, or immoral, but there are still, opportunities for commercial success to be made.
And certainly distribution folks act as a market clearing mechanism, right? That is a purpose it serves, that there is demand, and that some way of balancing that relative to supply, that's a critical function that distributors serve.
That's right. Yeah, I think distributors should consider themselves absolutely essential to the appropriate and functional running of the global economy. And then the third of my three, I would say, is manufacturing. What we're going to see, or already seeing, is an absolute stop on capital spend, meaning that organizations are going to run their assets for longer. That presents an opportunity for folks to think differently about their selling proposition as their customers consider differently replace versus repair.
So thanks, Ben, appreciate that. Robert, turning to you, why the focus now on aftermarket?
So as Ben said, organizations are going to hold on to assets for longer. If it's capital equipment, rolling stock, even consumers making decisions about the purchase of new cars, everybody's going to hold on to those assets probably over their predicted normal life cycle. So this presents an opportunity, certainly the opportunity to deliver more services And organizations that have up till now spent time focusing on the commercial excellence optimization of their capital equipment processes should now use this as time to think about their aftermarket, their services, their repair processes. There will be growing demand. This is definitely an opportunity to look at how I optimize those processes and actually optimize revenue and margin through the aftermarket side of your business.
That makes a lot of sense. Now, Robert, you mentioned restrictions on capital spending, on cash flow. I'm sure there's a lot of things that could be done to help manage that. Ben, could you kind of set that up for us?
Yeah, I mean, I think a couple of things spring to my mind. One is the difference between, managing cash is the difference between accounts receivable and accounts payable, right? And so I would encourage everybody to have a think about those two sides of that equation. Organizations with leverage typically work that kind of thing very well in good times, but leverage is different now. Leverage isn't about the size of your company. It's about the criticality of the service that you offer. So I think there's something that commercial folks should be thinking about there. And the other one that occurs to me is unbundling or debundling. Okay, that when times are good, it's a great time to smash things together and maximize, because you're getting people to buy some stuff they kind of want with some stuff they really do want. Nobody has that kind of inclination right now. There's no appetite for that now. So debundling may be the difference between making a sale of the thing you want to sell and not.
That makes sense. Ben, I love the points there. Robert, would you want to add to that?
Yeah, I think this whole question of debundling is really going to come to the fore. We normally talk about opportunities around cross-sell, upsell, and the opportunity to generate more revenue, more margin. But purchasing organizations are going to be looking for bargains. They're going to be training their team to go out and where these services are being asked for, to push heavily on price, push heavily for larger discounts. Training your organization to deal with that, having processes and strategies in place around debundling is going to be important in order to manage those discussions. So these don't have to be debundling that lasts forever. So temporary debundling, looking at focusing on your high value products, making sure that you maintain the position of your high value products, maybe being prepared to give up on some of your more commoditized products, letting your customers go to a third party or local provider. Definitely having a structure around, if you're selling high value products, what is a low value, low cost alternative? So that might not be taking the bundle apart, but it may be actually looking at, are there downsell recommendations that you can provide your sales team? And then the other one is looking at how you're going to offer service kits. So historically, if that service kit was sold together with a technician that was going to go out on site, that might not be possible anymore. So are there alternative ways that you can deliver those kits to your customers to keep them going, keep them in business?
That sounds great. Now, you mentioned, Robert, that might not be possible, that service technician going out. Ben, that's generally restrictions in mobility. What are things that people are doing or could do in those areas?
Well, I think that necessity is the mother of invention, and we're starting to see fabulous creativity out in all kinds of marketplaces, with people solving the problems of today with creative and fun and innovative solutions. One I've seen is petting zoos now have the capability for virtual petting, where you ask a zoo employee to go and talk to a particular animal. And also on the Faroe Islands in the north of Scotland, there are virtual tourist guides where a tourist has a camera and goes where you want and gives you live commentary about what you're seeing. I mean, I think these kinds of things are tremendously interesting, creative, and I see that there should be kind of crossovers into the sort of large-scale commercial world.
Absolutely. The B2C type of experiences migrating to B2B. Robert, any comments or
Yeah,
suggestions?
so if we go back to those service kits and there's restrictions on mobility, so maybe you can't send your technician, but that technician is there and can still support your customers. The problem is, how does he get visibility of what's going on? And while we've all got cameras in our computers, the computer is not necessarily the most mobile of devices. So maybe you need to think about, with those service kits, you supply a camera that's on a USB cable. That goes to your customers, instructions on what you're expecting, so for them to plug that camera in, and a really step-by-step, remotely guided service delivery, so that you can continue to support your customers just with overcoming these restrictions that we're seeing on mobility.
That makes sense. Really, really insightful and exciting and interesting ideas there. Lots of creativity being called for in terms of the conditions that we're all facing. I think that we're all going to be looking back at these times as a crucible where a lot of things exit on the other side that we just had no idea. The new normal, making the transformation. Ben, Robert, thanks very much for joining me today. Looking forward to having you on again soon. And to everyone joining this with the Revenue Roundtable, look for another edition coming out within the next couple of weeks. Thanks very much. Bye now. For more information on the emerging importance of aftermarket and services industries due to the global pandemic that we're all experiencing, you can get more info at the webpage shown here, or come to vendavo.com, select resources at the top navigation bar, then select industry articles, and you'll see the aftermarket benchmarking report compiled by Vendavo and Copperberg in late 2019.